Now available on Lulu. John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Recently, legendary comic book writer Alan Moore asked Warner Brothers Discovery to send all of the film and TV royalties from the DC Comics adaptations of his intellectual properties to be donated to the nonprofit organization Black Lives Matter. Now, the legendary writer of iconic comic books like Batman the Killing Joke, Watchmen, and V for Vendetta says that the recent movies created by DC's Warner Brothers Discovery do not stand by their original principles. And this is what has me scratching my head, because the organization Black Lives Matter is one that doesn't stand by its original principles, and it's an organization that has already been proven to be not credible. And I'm wondering why Alan Moore would want to donate money to an organization like Black Lives Matter, where the entire organization has been in recent years proven to be a fraud, as it's been caught up in multiple scandals. Now, back in 2012, the organization of Black Lives Matter was formed by 3 black women in the aftermath of the acquittal of George Zimmerman for the murder of Trayvon Martin. And at the time, these women alleged that they were looking to form an organization to show the value of black men and black boys' lives, and show that black men and black boys' lives matter as related to dealing with all of the injustices that black men and black boys suffer at the hands of rogue police officers and many of what I call the suburban commandos, who look to racially profile, intimidate, and terrorize black men. However, over the course of 2020, the entire Black Lives Matter organization was revealed to be a fraud in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd, where we found hundreds of millions of dollars in donations that were sent to Black Lives Matter did not go towards furthering the agenda of looking to show that a black man's life mattered, as black people turned out in the streets for riots as related to George Floyd. No, what happened was we found out that Black Lives Matter was out here misappropriating funds and looking to go out here and use many of the donations given to them to go out here and fund lavish lifestyles for many of its executives, such as Patrice Colors, who bought multiple homes in California, and many others were giving themselves high salaries and giving themselves consulting fees, and none of this money was going towards showing the value of the lives of black men and black boys. No, what was happening with Black Lives Matter was this organization basically was using the caskets of black men who lost their lives at the hands of rogue police officers, race soldiers, and suburban commandos to go out here and fund a lifestyle for the employees of Black Lives Matter. Moreover, they were looking to further an agenda that went out here and promoted misandristic narratives about black men while promoting ideologies such as single motherhood. Now, the Black Lives Matter organization has lost a whole lot of credibility over the last 2 years, and it just is a head scratcher for me that Alan Moore would go out here and say that he wants his royalties donated to Black Lives Matter. I mean, Black Lives Matter basically has been proven to be a fraud by multiple credible sources, and the Black Lives Matter organization's finances are in disarray. So I would think there would be much better places for Alan Moore to donate his money if he believes that DC Comics and Warner Brothers Discovery adaptations of the material doesn't stand by their original principles. You would think he would have gone out here and done his due diligence to find a person or an organization who does stand by their original principles and give a person with some integrity a donation that would allow them to take their career to the next level. Now, for example, I myself at SJS Direct have a mission to go out here and create positive stories about black people and the black experience and diversify the black book market to show people different aspects of life. And if Alan Moore wanted to go out here and be genuine about going out here and finding someone to donate his royalties to, you would think he would have gone and looked for a guy like me and looked to further the mission of SJS Direct, because the mission of SJS Direct stands by the principles that were laid by men like Bill Cosby in trying to create positive images of black people and positive stories about the black experience. And an infusion of money from Alan Moore's royalties definitely would have helped me with SJS Direct in expanding as related to adapting SJS Direct stories into comic books and be able to further expand my business. I mean, that would be a way to go out here and give money to somebody who's, again, has integrity. But Alan Moore, by this donation to Black Lives Matter, really comes across as really disingenuous to me, because he's saying that the studios don't stand by their principles, but he's not really standing by an organization that has any principles or integrity. And in this quest to virtue signal and show how good he is, he really shows how out of touch he is as related to this whole organization of Black Lives Matter. I mean, when I look at Alan Moore, he's really out of touch as related to things to think that Black Lives Matter is still a credible organization. Now, Alan Moore says he does not need the money, but I can see myself, I could benefit from that money, and many other small independent creators could benefit from a cash infusion from a guy like Alan Moore. And again, he could just go out here and go look for those individuals, but instead of him looking for those comic creators who want to go out here and create positive stuff like I do, what Alan Moore wants to do is go out here and make it look like he's some guy who's standing on morals, but the whole thing is he's standing with an organization that is extremely dishonest and an organization that basically is on the brink of bankruptcy. So a donation to Black Lives Matter doesn't really help black people, doesn't help anybody, any black lives. Again, the organization of Black Lives Matter is one that has already been discredited, and the whole mission of Black Lives Matter is one where they just go out here looking to use the graves of black boys and black men and the caskets of black boys and black men as a staircase to become wealthy on the bodies of black men, and use that to further perpetuate anti-black male narratives, and also go out here and perpetuate anti-black ideologies. So supporting the Black Lives Matter organization is no different than supporting white supremacy. But a guy like Alan Moore is so caught up in his ideals, he can't see the reality regarding Black Lives Matter here in America. So he's sitting here talking about, oh, I want to talk about how bad things are related to Warner Brothers Discovery and DC Comics. But if he really did care about black people, he would be trying to find independent black creators like myself to go out here and help out. Because if you want to donate some money to help elevate a black business, again, you would go and try to find those businesses. But what Alan Moore really wants to do here is not support black businesses and support a black creator like myself, or by going out here and giving a black creator a hand. No, what he wants to do is go out here and make one big virtue signal to say, oh, I'm doing something to support black people. But no, passively, yeah, you're starting a donation to Black Lives Matter, but aggressively, you're doing nothing for black people that will have any sort of impact. And he's sitting here also upset, talking about oh, how bad things are as related to comics, which I believe is a lot of guilt that he has as related to the aftermath of comics from many of the works that he's produced, as he's created many great works, again, like Watchmen and V for Vendetta and Batman the Killing Joke. He's realized that he feels guilty about killing the joy in comics, and he believes, I believe in some ways, believes that he's responsible for taking away the joy of comics, because in his mind, comics are something for 12-year-old boys. But what Alan Moore doesn't really understand is that comics were never just meant for kids. I mean, superhero comics were never meant just for kids. No, comics were always meant for readers of all ages. And again, readers of all ages enjoy these characters. I know I was a fan of comics since I was 4 years old, that yeah, I enjoy comics, and I also enjoy making, as a guy who grew up with comics, when I aspired to write comics for companies like Marvel and DC, I always wanted to make sure the material was for readers of all ages, and that's an approach that I use right now, where I make stories that a kid that's 8, 9 years old can enjoy in an Isis, a Steam, or John Haynes series book, or an older person can enjoy because they can relate to the characters, they can relate to the life experiences, they can relate to what I'm putting down on paper as related to the story I'm telling. And again, that is the magic of storytelling, is that you can make something that everybody can go out here and relate to and see as part of their experience. And that's where Alan Moore gets it all wrong about the whole state of what happened with him in comics. No, what happened is, in the 80s, yes, Watchmen and many of these books did get popular because they had a deconstructed story model. But what's happened is that in the 90s we had problems, in that editorial basically left a lot of these companies, and a lot of creators got bad habits, and as they got bad habits, that's what led to the decline of the comic book industry. And again, we've had a lot of people who want to hold on to these superhero characters, and again, they don't want to grow. They don't want to grow up. They just want to stay old. I'll agree with him on that point. And again, eventually, you have to let these characters go to start reading different material. And that's something I did in my late teens and early 20s. Yes, I still read comics, but I also went out here and started reading novels, and I also started reading a lot of nonfiction, and that's what helped me to become a better writer. But the whole thing is, Alan Moore really has shown that his perspective is really twisted these days, because he's sitting there thinking giving a donation to Black Lives Matter will atone for all of the damage done to the comic book industry he believes he created. But what he doesn't understand is that Black Lives Matter did a lot of damage to the black community, and giving a cash infusion to them only enables them to continue doing damage to the black community. And Alan Moore's royalties would be better spent going out here and sending a donation to a black creator like myself, or supporting many of the other small indie black creators out here. I mean, if you really want to have an impact on black comics and science fiction, that would be a better place for Alan Moore to invest his money, rather than going out here and trying to give money to an organization that is anti-black, goes out here and tries to demonize black men, tries to use the caskets of dead black men to create a staircase to dysfunction that enriches only a group of women who have basically been going out here using this Black Lives Matter organization as their own personal piggy bank. I mean, there are records that clearly state in multiple articles that I've done videos on, talking about how Black Lives Matter basically misappropriated over $90 million in funds. So this is not an organization that anybody should be looking to donate money to, because black life doesn't matter to Black Lives Matter. And that's the message that I hope Alan Moore gets from this video, because Black Lives Matter doesn't matter to people at Black Lives Matter. And if you really want to help black people, you go find a creator like Sean James and the SJS Direct Imprint. You drop a donation to the PayPal or the Cash App, or you go out here pick up some comics from John Haynes at Death's Door at lulu.com. Again, you want to spend your money to help black people, help out independent black comic creators, drop some donations to their PayPals or their Cash Apps. That's how you help a black creator, because I've got several scripts that I would like to produce, and the only thing that is keeping me from producing them is that I just never have the money to go out here and do them. And again, I want to do projects, and again, if Alan Moore wants to help out someone, he can go out here and help a guy like me out by dropping a couple of PayPals or some Cash Apps as related to his royalties. That would be his money better spent, because again, I have records of everything that is spent. Everything is accounted for and transparent, something that isn't at Black Lives Matter. Every dollar at SJS Direct is paid for, and that's donated goes out here and pays for artists like Mike, who does John Haynes' Godbreaker, and Bill Walker, who does the Isis and Eaststeam covers. Again, that money is based. You see that money being spent, and you see that money, and you see it being right in front of you. And again, much transparency. And again, Alan Moore's money would be better spent with SJS Direct than it would with Black Lives Matter. Now, if you want to help me be able to get the next SJS Direct comic to the marketplace, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. Or if you want to pick up some of the positive content that I produce on the SJS Direct imprint, like the Isis series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my Black sorority novel, The Thetas, or my Black vampire novel, Eternal Night, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to go out here and pick up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic on lulu.com right now in paperback, and you can pick up your own paper copy of the book that was a part of a successful 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to pick up my first digital comic I did with Bill Walker, with Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents and pick yourself up a copy. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.